Healthcare, education, and the economy. So let's talk a little bit briefly about those three. On the healthcare front, we know we've had a little bit of trouble in terms of the budgets of the hospitals. We've had some issues with regards to nurses, although one of the recent pieces of news I've been hearing is that a lot of the doctors that migrated to the U.S. are now coming back to Canada too. So there's an issue there with regards to the productivity of the hospital system and healthcare in Ontario. On the education front, of course, we've got the support and the financial support of the colleges and universities. Very, very important discussion here. We've got record numbers of grade 12 kids right now going to college and university, and the universities all over Ontario are busting at the seams. How are we going to support the infrastructure there to make sure that the courses, and the teaching and the professors and the facilities are online? And then finally, and probably most importantly, is the economy, jobs. Everybody wants to talk about jobs. We've had a very tough year with regards to layoffs, specifically here in our local community when it came to steel manufacturers and some of the heavy manufacturers. And of course, on the flip side, going on with today is the whole GM announcement. So GM's price in terms of the IPO is moving up, but what does that mean for jobs in Ontario? Is the auto sector really going to be protected by General Motors in Ontario? So those, I think, are the three major issues. Just to repeat, healthcare, economy, and education, in addition to the hydro news that we've already heard, Taz.
So this is more of a mini budget, really, than an economic update, and something different that we usually see. Yeah,
and a lot of it also has to do with the fact that we're 11 months away from the election, so let's make no mistake here. This is posturing for what's going to happen down the road. There's going to be a big battle for election votes, and they're taking an opportunity right now to send a signal. So they're signaling to the electorate in Ontario saying, we're going to do a good job protecting you in the three things that matter to you most as voters. And, politics is, we just finished the municipal election, boom. Little break, and boom, we're going to provincial election right away.
Well, let's talk about the hydro rates, because really that's the area that we're going to feel the most significantly in the quickest amount of time. They're talking about reducing those rates by 10% in January. How do you feel about that?
Good news, obviously. I mean, I like it because I got a big hydro bill just like everybody else in the city, so anything that's less and more money in my pocket is always good news. The problem, Taz, of course, is the way they're going to finance this discount. They're actually, in effect, almost taking out a loan, so it's as if I'm paying now for something I might recoup later into the future.
You might recoup.
I might recoup. That's the problem. And it's also the issue of timing. They make the announcement that this is going to happen Jan 1, but and I know that there's always lag times with regards to when I'm going to see it. When am I going to see it in my bill? I might not see it in my bill till March or April. Guess what, Taz? By the time March and April rolls around, the snow's gone. I don't need the heater that much in my house anymore.
But you will be getting the big bill at that point, so that's probably when you need it the most. And also, that's closer to that 11-month,
that's great.
The election
next fall.
That's
right.
So that's
so
probably
I'll remember
it. Exactly, you will remember it. Now, it's incited a lot of controversy, of course. The Liberals and the Liberals, not the ones that perhaps. And pardon me, the NDP probably not the ones that are going to be talking about keeping this bill, and the PCs either. But now that we have the HST and it is here to stay, chances are we're not going back on this. It's here for good.
Yeah, I don't think that we're going to be able to go back on it. I mean, the administrative cost alone in terms of the implementation of the HST and the recoding, the reprogramming of systems and computers and throughout the whole value chain is so significant. It would be foolhardy. I think, other countries around the world would probably laugh at us if all of a sudden, only a couple of years later, we decided to resort back. So unfortunately, this is the way it is right now. Of course, the HST has made a significant impact on a lot of the things that we purchase, including our energy bills and many other things that, are coming out of, the cash is coming out of our wallet. But I have a feeling it's here to stay. I'll be shocked, believe it or not, if Ontario decides to do anything in this announcement in the next few minutes related to the HST or with regards to taxes,
HST here to stay.
That would be my guess if I was a betting man, Taz.
How much has the province made just from the HST since July, since it was implemented?
Well, I can't give you specific dollars, but I know that the actual processing has now started to actually flow into the coffers for the provincial government. We also see that they're making extra cash with regards to the sale of that TerraNet license with regards to the land registry. So the good news is that they're actually thinking about reducing the amount of debt and deficit that we have. That's always a good thing, because we never want to have such a massive deficit, because all we're really doing when we have such huge debt loads is we're just passing it on from one generation to the next, one generation to the next. So although people don't like big taxes, at the end of the day, I would rather have us, in terms of a budget that's actually even. There's no significant surplus and there's no significant deficit. Can we for once actually balance the budget for the government? We keep on telling people that they got to balance their own household budget when it comes to cash flow in and cash flow out, and I'm a big proponent of that every time I'm giving advice. So I'd like to see the provincial government do the same thing.
Let's talk about the HST, because the numbers is really where people start to look at it. They have, at least what we're projecting is $125 in savings for the average household consumer. And to be fair, that is a significant amount of money, although it is spread over a year. The problem is it is temporary. So, and electricity costs are not going down, they're going up. So when you factor everything in right now from whatever details we have, based on the fact that we do have the HST, which is adding 5% on your hydro bill, costs are going up. How much are we actually saving? It's a 10%, but then when you tack on the HST, we're down to a smaller,
it's a smaller chunk of money. You're right, Taz. I mean, at the end of the day, let's say it's even $75 or $100 after you add it and make all the adjustments. Is that really a significant amount of money? When you look at a 12-month period of budgeting, $80 probably doesn't even pay for somebody's coffee, over a month period of time. So it's more symbolism, it's more signaling, it's more, I'm going to stand up here as the party that's in power and I'm going to say, you know what, this is what I'm doing for you as a voter. And unfortunately, Taz, a lot of people don't analyze the numbers. They read $125 and they're like, wow, that's a big chunk of change. That's good. I'm glad he's putting more money in my pocket. They don't necessarily realize that over the long haul, that's not as significant as we might think.
What about just cutting the HST, pardon me, on hydro? Do you think that is ever going to happen? Because, of course, the NDP is trying to push that idea.
I don't think that's going to happen either, because now they're burning themselves in the opposite direction, because they're not going to generate that revenue that they need as well, or that the federal government needs on that side. So it's very, very difficult here. You really only have two things to play with. You can actually reduce the services that you offer or increase the taxation base somehow, and you really have to balance off with both of those types of scenarios. And again, I would be shocked if they decided to pull the HST from energy. If they did do that, Taz, again, it would only be temporary. And it's only temporary, probably between now and Election Day, to signal to the voter, come vote for us again.
But to be fair, though, the provincial government has gone back on some policies and some taxes. The eco fee, for example, we had it for, I don't even know, was it weeks? Was it a month? And then with enough pressure, it decided it was going to backtrack on that. So it is possible, although you do say we would be, the laughing stock of many nations if we were to get rid of the HST. Is it really fair to say that the knocking off the HST on hydro is not something that is ever going to happen?
I'm nervous that if we do that, it might set a precedent. This is the problem. Then all of a sudden, does everybody just complain about any new type of newfangled tax that we come up with? Because, although tax is a very nasty word and nobody likes to talk about it, we still have services that we need to offer here in the province of Ontario. And that's how the province makes its money, through tax. So it's very easy for you and I to say, let's get rid of this tax temporarily. But at the end of the day, that money, the new money, it's got to come from somewhere. No one's going to donate it, Taz, to the government to actually offer those services. We still have to pay for healthcare. We still have to pay for education. We still have to, fund and source the competitiveness of our companies in this province. So again, I'm more concerned about having a nice, balanced gestalt picture today. And frankly, that's what I want to see from Dwight Duncan today. I want to see a nice, balanced picture. He's not slicing too much and he's not giving too much away. It's just par for the course. Let's continue on a nice, steady pace.
Well, the Liberals already saying that, pardon me, the PC is already saying that the Liberals are making up their energy policies on the fly. And how do you feel about this, implementing one policy and then changing it? Is it a sign of weakness? Does it look badly on the Liberals? Or are consumers really just going to remember that $125 in their pocket at the end of the day? Well,
you can interpret it two ways, Taz. The one way to interpret it is to say, they're weak. They haven't done their research. They didn't study the plan before they implemented it, and then they realized they made a mistake. Or the other way to interpret it is actually they're listening to the electorate. They're listening to the voters. They're listening to the citizens of Ontario. And when there was a problem, they decided to listen and pull out. So it depends on the political wingers there, at Queen's Park, how they're going to fly this. They can fly it in either direction. And of course, the whole role of the NDP and the other party, of course, is to always slam against whatever the Liberals are doing. So in this particular case, they're doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Let's talk about the smart meter program. That's been a big controversial issue. You know what, actually, we're going to take a look at some video now, because I understand that Dwight Duncan is about to stand in the House. So